Let's talk.
Giles Brown.
The origins of famous brands. We take brands for granted, but they surround us and pervade our everyday life. But have you ever wondered where they come from and why they became successful? For example, how did Reebok come from a town in northwest England to become one of the leading athletic apparel brands in the world? Or McDonald's convinced a sceptical British public to eat hamburgers, and don't even get me started on Spain. While the man who has the key, the clave, to unlock this eternal mystery of why are McDonald's so bleeding popular is the man behind the origins of famous brands. It's Thomas Farrell. Tom, good morning. Is it Tom or Thomas, by the way? I'm doffing my cap.
I'd rather have Tom. Tom's better.
Right. Morning, Tom. Right then. So, famous brands. Well, just explain to the listening public and indeed myself why you are so eminently qualified to write on brands.
A lifetime of passion for brands is basically the reason behind that. I think brands are really important to us. I think when you go abroad and you see a familiar brand that you recognize, like Coca-Cola, it's really reassuring, isn't it? And then if you see a brand from your childhood, it's just amazing, the nostalgia that it brings back and the memories. So I think brands hold a really powerful position in the public consciousness. And I just wanted to explore that a little bit in the book.
Has it always been thus? I'm just thinking, because if you're in some corner of a foreign field and you should suddenly stumble and you're in the middle of I don't know some busy bustling market and you can't speak the language and it's too hot, and then you stumble into a shady corner and there's a proudly a selection of Heinz baked bean tins, for example, you're going to think at least, or there's a well known PG cup of tea bag that you think yes I have found sanctuary.
I think it's a good example. Say you're in the United States and all of a sudden you find some Twinings tea and relief just washes over you because you're like, okay, I'm home now. Do you know what I mean? So brands are really, really powerful. And that's why I've written this history, really, is just to explain, right, why are these brands so successful? What's made them so popular?
And we're not just talking 1950s Mad Men advertising here, right? We go back in the day. And I was very happy to see that, although there are some shady bits of empire, shall we say, two great things. The empire was built, of course, on gin and tonic. And therefore, tonic gin to kill the boredom, and tonic to keep out the effects of malaria. So therefore, this is early branding, isn't it, Tom?
Absolutely. So the book goes all the way back to the 1700s, and we're talking. Alexander Gordon, obviously, who founded the famous gin distillery. He had to arm his employees with muskets to defend his distillery back during the Gordon riots in the 1700s. I mean, the history of some of these brands is just incredible, 300 years old. And there's other old brands in there as well, Cross and Blackwell. They go back to the time of King William IV.
Right,
It's crazy. And then obviously the book goes all the way to the present day. So we've got Costa Coffee, we've got Greg's, everyone's in there.
Is there such a thing as marketing in the days of Gordon or Lee and Perrins, as the Americans say, Worcestershire sauce? Because those, again, HP and Daddy's are made by the same, which I didn't find out this till recently, but HP and Daddy's are made by the same manufacturer, which I thought they were in, Mortal Kombat.
It's really interesting that you bring up the early marketing. So a lot of it was done by sailors. So they'd have this favorite product, say Lee and Perrins is a really good example. Yeah. And they'd take it on the ship with them and it'd travel around the world through the shipping distribution network. So they'd end up with Lee and Perrins in America. And then the locals would taste it and they'd be like, wow, this is actually really good. And so that's how the early distribution started. And marketing was less sophisticated then, but the packaging, Lee and Perrins has always had really distinctive packaging, for example. So marketing has always played a big part, even if it's a little different from what we'd recognize today.
I suppose the other thing about the brands is the fact that you've got mass media, especially in the Victorian ages. You've got more literacy, which means more people are reading. I mean, I know then Penny Dreadfuls or the Gutter Press or whatever, but you're seeing these, full page adverts coming for a while. Going. I mean, it's a little bit later on. It's maybe the earlier Edwardian period, but Bisto, etc. But all those, the players, and I know you're not allowed to advertise cigarettes anymore, but players and all that sort of thing. I mean, these were Victorian style campaigns for soaps, for whatever, wasn't it?
And I'm glad you've touched on that, because this was really the glory age of kind of the big brands, really. This is where they really start to come into their own with mass printing and mass advertising, that kind of thing. This is when they really started to gain a lot of traction. So Cross and Blackwell, obviously they created Branston Pickle. They became the biggest food manufacturer in the world. It's crazy. And the biscuit manufacturers, the Rich Tea biscuit's been exported across the globe. Sometimes it's known as the Marie biscuit, particularly in Spain. But yeah, absolutely fascinating stuff.
We tend to think about marketing in brands as now being faceless individuals with focus groups and study things. But, marketing in these days, in the early days through to the sort of Mad Men era, it's all about, and I'm thinking Ogilvy, for example. They're mavericks. They're these mad, these certifiable individuals come out with these mad cat schemes. I mean, so it's not just a book about the actual brand itself. It's about the brilliant brains that built the brands, for example.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. So I do mention Ogilvy in the book, actually. He helped establish Schweppes in America, and it's a really fascinating story, actually. So the president of Schweppes in the USA, he was this classic, like, Edwardian era naval commander with a big white beard and very well spoken, like a classic English gentleman type. And Ogilvy's like, right, you need to be the face of this brand in America. And the guy, he's called Commander Whitehead. And he was like, no, I'm not a marketing guy. I'm not a spokesman. Ogilvy's like, no, you're the guy. So they went ahead with this campaign. And Schweppes just became this massive success in America. Big success. But yeah, I think in the early days, the founders of these brands were their own marketing men, and it was a lot more human and a lot more personal. Is the ground, instinctive marketing. Obviously today it is a lot less personal, which is a little bit less fun. But yeah, I guess that's how the industry goes.
If you think about it, they build brands on personality. So you're thinking about the guy with the white beard. I'm thinking Captain Birdseye here. I'm thinking, because again, you think that, and I'm also thinking the Milk Tray Man, one of the, all because the lady loves Milk Tray. And if you think about that as a running character, which went for decades, and a friend of mine's uncle was actually one of the Milk Tray stuntmen back in the day. So therefore, these were brands that built, on a continuous theme. They weren't chopping and changing. Imperial Leather, that had a running sort of theme all the way through as well.
Yeah, I think like the R. White secret lemonade drinker is famous as well.
Now we're talking.
Yeah, I do touch upon that in the book. And this is kind of, one of the things that I really like about the book is it really taps into the nostalgia, for these marketing campaigns and, all these memories. And, these marketing campaigns are explored in the book, and it's fascinating, the stories behind them. Like, how did they decide to go with this campaign? Why did it become so successful? Why did this particular campaign tap into the national consciousness and really connect with people in the way that it did? Yeah, I love it.
I mean, the things like, the Oxo family, that ran for decades, didn't it? I mean, it ran.
Yeah,
it was almost a part of the season. You would and people kind of grew up with the Oxo family.
And obviously the PG Tips chimps as well.
Yeah. Would absolutely not be allowed now, but I know what you mean. Yeah.
No, I mean, rightly so. It's not really what we'd classify as ethical these days, but it did connect with people, and it sold a lot of tea.
Now, talking about brands, right? The Golden Arches, McDonald's. So I've been here. I've been in Spain for a very long time, and I remember in 1985. That day, I'll let you finish your drink because you're about to spit your vodka everywhere, your gin everywhere. 1985.
No, it's just water, believe me.
Oh yeah, sure. I know you're doing a bit for Captain Whitebeard or whatever his name was. Anyway, the first McDonald's in Spain opened in 1985 in a place called Puerto del Sol in the middle of Madrid. Okay, I was 17 years old, and I went on a school trip to Madrid to see the Prado, to see Madrid, the whole thing. But because it was the only McDonald's in Spain at the time, 75% of my class eschewed the delights of the Prado and the Retiro Park and whatever, and headed to the McDonald's, the first one in Spain, where they spent literally the next 24 hours. Now, why is that? Why is that, Tom? How come? Because if you remember back in the day, the closest you got to a burger in the UK was Wimpy, and and they had the Mr. Whopper and the Knickerbocker Glory. I'm a child of the 70s. I remember this stuff, Tom. Bear with me. So, therefore, how come McDonald's takes over the UK and knocks everybody else into a corner, and then comes to Spain, where we have Menú del Dia? You can get a 3-course meal for basically at the time the size of a quarter pounder. What happened, Tom?
I know. You know what? It's a question of marketing. It's a question of phenomenal consistency, and it's not fine dining, but the quality of the product is really good, and it's a fun place to eat. And there wasn't a lot of places like that for teenagers and children in the 70s and 80s, and it was the first restaurant really to make young people not just welcome, but really, the focus really of the business. And I think that really responded to young people. It makes them feel grown up, doesn't it?
Yeah.
This is a restaurant for me. Whereas normally restaurants, they're for grown-ups, aren't they?
Well, yeah, I'm just thinking about it, because the closest you had in the 70s was Angus Steakhouse, that sort of thing. And you certainly, if a group of kids came into an Angus Steakhouse or even a Wimpy, they'd be like, am I just saying, no, get out, we don't want any trouble?
Yeah, exactly. And I think, teenagers, this was a place they could hang out, and not be, there were no waiters to kind of look you over and be like, what are you still doing here? You've been here 45 minutes. And it was novel and it was new. This is American cuisine. It's imported from America. We feel very sophisticated and grown up. It was a place for them. But a big part of McDonald's early success was tapping into that younger market. The first McDonald's in the UK was a disaster, because they were trying to market it to adults who had not really much experience with eating hamburgers. Yeah, Wimpy did exist, but other than that, this was an unknown brand.
Yeah.
So they opened the first branch in Woolwich, in the London suburbs.
Wow.
They couldn't even give the food away for free. And then eventually they went into the cinemas, started advertising to children, and they pressured the parents to take them. And then it became a massive success that we know today.
And if you look at it, they've always done that links in with films. If you get bombarded on your social media. If there's a film out, there will be a fast food outlet tie-in these days. Be it a Marvel, be it an Avengers, be it a Star Wars. There'll be a range of things that you can get at a fast food outlet that ties into the film you've just seen.
It's very clever, and it allows people to kind of relive that movie experience, doesn't it? And participate and be involved in it. I mean, I remember the Disney characters, they'd always be tied in at McDonald's, and obviously you want the Buzz Lightyear toy or whatever it would happen to be. Do you know what I mean? So you pressure your mum, can I go to McDonald's? And she says no.
Who's not reenacted the great lightsaber drills with a couple of French fries at McDonald's? Come on, Tom, admit
exactly.
it. Here's another thing as well. After nothing, the recipes. Dr. Pepper. It's not made by doctors, and there's nothing like pepper in it. So how does that happen then?
No one really knows the origin behind the name of Dr. Pepper. I do explore it a little bit in the book. It is quite interesting. But yeah, it ties into this whole like late 19th century soft drinks marketing kind of game.
It's that far back. Is it? I would have thought that would have been like a 1950s thing. It's older than that.
No.
Wow. Okay.
1882, I think it was. So they were originally almost medicinal products. Coca-Cola famously had cocaine in it, and that was designed to pep you up, along with the caffeine and the sugar. And Dr. Pepper, that originally had iron in it, and it was marketed as a digestion tonic.
Okay.
So, and then you see in like the 1920s, 1930s, they start to reformulate it. They make it more of a drink that's marketed for flavour. But yeah, it started off as a pharmacy drink sold through pharmacies, and that's the origins of most of the soft drinks. 7-Up actually originally had lithium in it.
Okay. That would explain why Fido Dido's hair looked like it did then, wasn't it, basically?
But yeah, and Iron Brew obviously had the iron in it as well. Yeah, it is fascinating.
You see, but the thing is, I know because Scottish parents, I know that Iron Brew is put forward as a drink that you can drink at lunchtime. If you're working in the shipyards or whatever, that isn't alcoholic, but you can't have somebody saying going in, give me a shandy. It's not going to work like that. It needs to be something. The legend is if you're working in the shipbuilding industry in Glasgow, you can order Iron Brew because it doesn't sound like it's some sort of poncy sort of something involving elderberries or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's another case of great branding, isn't it?
Yeah.
It does sound quite masculine, doesn't it? Iron Brew.
Yeah.
Same as Dr. Pepper. It sounds quite manly, really, doesn't it, Doctor? It's not like, elderflower press or,
Yeah. Now, Liam Perrins. Now, I heard a story about this, so I need to find out because, Tommy, you're going to know this. Liam Perrins, which I love, scrambled eggs, love it. Liam Perrins on top. I think we can all agree, greatest thing since whatever. There we go. Yeah. Thank you. Is it the story that it's an officer from the British Army who comes back from India with a recipe and he asks his chefs to try and make it the same thing he's been enjoying in India? And it's so awful, but it sort of sits there for another 10 years. And then when they go back and try it, it's actually which is, I mean, hats off to the guy who actually went back. I think I'll just try what's been sitting there for 10 years. But is that a marketing story? Is that a true? Has your brand detection detected that one, Tom?
As far as we can tell, that's pretty much true. Wow. So it was Charles Gray was the he was a bigwig in Bengal.
Bigwig in Bengal, yeah, absolutely.
So he gifted the recipe. So it was an Indian recipe originally.
Yeah.
So he gifted the recipe to Lady Sandys in Worcestershire, and she got some. And it was a curry powder recipe originally. So that's the basis of the sauce and explains the India origin. She got these pharmacists to reproduce this curry powder for her because they had all the ingredients to hand. So it made sense. And that was Mr. Lee and Mr. Perrins. And we don't know exactly, but maybe they made too much. And they were like, right, it looks like they added kind of a walnut ketchup to this curry powder, and then it tasted disgusting.
Yeah.
So they left it in barrels in a cellar and forgot about it. And then they come back 3 years later, they taste it and like, this is quite nice. And that's the origin of Liam Perrins. It was a glorious accident. But it's interesting, the origins in the empire, and how, the globalization of the empire helped to inform the cuisine of the Victorian period.
Yeah.
It is a really interesting bit of cultural analysis.
Well, yeah, I mean, the Anglo-Indian, the whole thing, I mean, we could wax lyrical about chutney Marys and all that sort of thing until the proverbial sacred cows come home. But it's also, when we talk about globalization, we automatically think, oh, yeah, well, the word's being taken over by Starbucks or McDonald's and the whole thing. We don't think that actually the original globalization is a two-way street because we're bringing all these, we're exporting the gin to the far-flung things of empire, but at the same time, we're importing all these recipes that because the British are notoriously conservative, or used to when it comes to their food, Tom.
It is fascinating. Yes, there's this amazing kind of back and forth. It's more of a dialogue rather than a prescription. So yeah, it is fascinating, this kind of cross-pollination of different cultures that have informed the British cuisine that we see today. And
not only cuisine, but you see, I live on two things. One of them is impure thoughts, and the other one is black coffee, right? I cannot survive without at least a couple of espressos inside me. Again, going back, because I'm a little bit older than you, going back to the 70s, it was a coffee wasteland. It was Maxwell House. It was insipid. It was horrible. And now, I mean, I don't touch Starbucks for religious reasons because I think that it's the work of Satan. But, Costa Coffee, the way that we've embraced coffee, and now you get, the barista, for goodness sake. I mean, again, that is a branding. If you'd said, in the 80s, I mean, we had wine bars. We certainly didn't have baristas in the 80s. So therefore, again, another brilliant thing of branding. No, Tom?
It's actually interesting to go back even further than that. So the British loved coffee back in the 1800s, way more than tea.
Right.
And then tea started to be promoted as this product of empire.
Oh, yes.
We grew it across India. So all of a sudden, they taxed the heck out of coffee, bringing in all this cheap tea. And so tea became the most popular of the two drinks, it was almost forced on us in a way. And now we've kind of seen a bit of a correction, of course, and we're switching back to coffee. I much prefer coffee, personally. I'm not a big fan of tea. But, yeah, I mean, I think... I do have to credit Starbucks. They have probably improved the quality of coffee that's available in the UK.
Yeah.
In terms of forcing restaurants and bars to move on from instant and, up their offering a little bit. So, yeah, that's a good thing. And I do talk about the history of Costa Coffee in my book. It was two Italian brothers. This was 1970s London, and they could not find real coffee. So they were like, right, there's only one way to get around this. We'll import our own. We'll roast our own beans. We'll bring the Italian-style coffee into the UK. They started getting it into higher-end hotels. Eventually, they opened a shop, and it went from there. And then it was bought by Whitbread in 1995. They expanded it. Costa had a big presence in the UK before Starbucks even came in. Starbucks came in 1998. They were latecomers.
Yeah.
Costa is the original coffee chain in the UK.
So what are you hoping then that people are going to take from the book? What do you hope that people will discover and learn?
If they're educated, if they're entertained, I'll be more than happy. If they learn a little bit about why brands matter, and if they learn a few interesting facts along the way, then I feel like I've done my job.
What's your favorite? What is your go-to brand that you think out of them? I know it's like saying pick your favorite kid or whatever, but I mean, what do you look at? I mean, and you think that's an outstanding bit of branding where the whole you immediately know, because like in Spain we have Tío Pepe. And then we have the Bulls, which were an advertising thing, and they are now 30 of them throughout Spain, and they're like grade 3 listed mansions over here. You cannot touch them because it's González Baez, and it's a symbol of España. So I mean, HP sauce, is it going to be? Is it going to be Heinz baked beans? Is it going to be like you said? Is it going to be a Greg's Pie sign that makes your little eyes light up? Tom, what's the one?
I mean, I think just looking at Coca-Cola, it's such a big global brand. You've got to be impressed by how they've managed to do that. It's something that's recognised all over the world. So,
and not only that, they changed the colour of Father Christmas's outfit for Coca-Cola, didn't they?
Yeah, exactly. Anyone who can redefine what Christmas is Deserves respect.
The book is called The Origins of Famous Brands. It's by Tom Farrell. Listeners, if you go onto I've just seen the Bovril advert, that takes me back. If you go onto our bookstore, you can click on the wonderful front cover, and a well-known South American river delivery service will have it rushing towards you. Tom, if people want to find you and say lovely things to you online, where can they find you on social media or indeed your own branded website?
So I direct them to my blog. It's called letslookagain.com. So that's where the book started. So yeah, I'd take them to my blog.
And what are you up to next after this one then, Tom? What's your next project?
It's going to be a sequel.
Is it just when you thought it was safe to go back to the branding or something like that, yeah?
Yeah, more of the same.
Marvellous stuff. The book is called The Origins of Famous Brands. It's by Tom Farrell. Tom, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you very much, Giles. Loved it.